Warning: this podcast may contain graphic violence, sexual themes, and bad language. If our language offends you, we apologize, but we do not give a fuck. Be mindful of your kids listening.
The Evil Never Dies podcast.
What's up, evil ones? Thanks for listening to the Evil Never Dies podcast. I'm Brett here with Carl. What's up?
I was told we were canceled.
Not canceled, just a little bit of a snafu and some technology.
Yeah, I thought we got canceled because we talked shit about My Bloody Valentine. It wasn't a very popular. People were a little mad, I think.
You think so?
I got some negative feedback. They said we were too harsh.
Oh, really?
So as y'all can hear, once again, my voice is sort of messed up. I'm not sick like I was that one week. I just got a sore throat and my voice is jacked. So I don't know what I sound like on here, but I'm here.
So yeah, we had a laptop issue that has all my editing shit on it and everything. So
yeah, actually, I had filmed, taped, whatever you called it, the Phantom of the Opera for Sunday, but it was only 20 minutes long, and we had no way of editing it anyway because I'm not the editor. That would be Brett. So, like I said, I think the Phantom of the Opera is cursed.
Yes, I think so.
Then I was going to do the midweek, and we thought we'd everything running by then, and I was going to do the Kiss album Revenge for a midweek episode, but things were still not completely back up, so we're going to do this sort of a double episode. We're going to do Kiss Revenge and Kiss Alive 3.
Yes, we are.
So this is sort of a double episode album review, which was really sort of my show, so I may take a little more of a lead with the stuff than we normally do. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. I mean, I can talk about Kiss for 7 hours, 8 hours straight. Everybody knows that.
Yep. But first off, I wanted to have everybody give some good vibes and prayers to our buddy Eric, our Sean Lehman from the Creepy Guys, Middle-Aged and Creeped Out podcast. He's having some health issues this week. So everybody say a prayer or send out some good vibes for him. He's a good guy, man. So
yeah, we sent him the best and hope everything is good. I found out literally about an hour or two before we started filming tonight. So
well, Todd had posted something Wednesday,
sort of cryptic. Yeah,
but he didn't really go into what was going on until today. So
yeah, I wish all of the family and everybody the best and quick recovery.
Exactly. Also
Jerry
wanted
Polly,
to say need to say congratulations to you, brother.
Oh, I was going to talk about Jerry Polly instead of me. Jerry's doing better.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got a little award last night.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a little one. It was like the biggest award in the county, honestly.
Yeah, I know, man. That's awesome. I'm proud of you, brother.
Well, thank you. I didn't
You
really talk
deserve
about
it, man.
much.
You put up with a bunch of bullshit there for the last 30 years, man.
30 years, yep.
And had the sheriff, Tarrant County Sheriff, award it to you. He's a cool guy too, man.
He is. Sheriff Wayborn is a great guy.
Yep. So
good man and a good sheriff.
Yep.
But yeah, I actually was awarded. So,
and what'd you say? You were surprised? You didn't even know you were gonna be.
I thought I was in the category for a supervisor of the year, and when they read off the candidates for that, my name wasn't there, and I'm like, instantly thought I must have been bamboozled. I don't know why I'm here. So
so
yeah,
you
I was
didn't fight
totally.
until they called your name, huh?
I started to think after that something was going on, and then when I saw the sheriff look directly at me and call me by my first name, I was like, "Uh-oh."
Either you're under arrest.
I wasn't under arrest. No arrest. It was
Excuse me.
biggest award in the county. So yeah, I feel very honored. 30 years, 32 if you count my 2 part-time years at the convention center. Tarrant County used to run the convention center,
Yeah.
which is ironically where I once saw Kiss play. I think the Crazy Nights tour, maybe. I don't remember.
Cool.
Kiss used to play the convention center instead of Dallas because of pyro. Dallas had rules against pyrotechnics and Fort Worth did not. So we used to get a lot of the Kiss
stupid.
shows.
That's stupid. Dallas.
Well, that's the way it was.
Huh. That's crazy, man.
And before we go, if you notice my eyes black, I should explain that, I guess. So I actually talked about this on the now lost Phantom of the Opera episode I did solo. I think 10 of the 20 minutes was this story. So the Dark Hours, our buddies over in Plano, Haunted House, they used to run shows like on, once a month. Then COVID hit and they kind of got whacked out. Well, this year they're kind of back to normal. And on Friday the 13th in January, they did they called it an 80s slasher. Dead by Dark Hour was the theme. And they redid it for Valentine's Day. It was the exact same haunt. You basically were being chased and killed by these slashers. They killed you. They put a patch on your back saying, you were slashed by whoever. So I was going through it, and the next thing I know, there's some slasher there. So I take off running, fall, and land headfirst into a rail. And I had this huge bump on my head. And I thought I was bleeding. I was like, I hope I'm bleeding all over Ellen Hop's haunted house. That would be the greatest thing. It was just a big bump. Well, the next day, the bump had sort of went down. It was so bad, Lisa made me go to the emergency room, but I didn't stay. I was like, fuck this. I'm going back home. Well, it ended up being this huge ass black eye. I looked like I'd been beat bad by somebody, but that was a fun night. I give Alan Hops and his crew thumbs up for that haunt, and they're going to be doing something fun again for St. Patrick's Day. You're going to chase leprechauns. So this is a little more of an extreme haunt than we're used to in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It wouldn't be for everybody. If you don't like running and you don't like being chased, then this would not be the haunt for you.
Well, in my case, they're going to catch me every time because I sure as hell ain't running.
Yeah.
So if they catch you, it ain't over, is it?
No, you just get deaded.
Oh, okay.
I got killed 3 times.
So they can't kill you more than one time, or can they?
Oh, they can kill you as many times as you go through the slasher's area. I was killed by the saw puppet, and I think the fake Jason, and supposedly Carl Cleaver killed me. But I found out later they had doubles of all the monsters. That was sort of the secret because I saw the 2 saw puppets.
Okay, how'd they do 2 Carls?
I don't even know if Alan Hops was in the room or not. I heard his voice and I started screaming out to him, and apparently it agitated the second Carl Cleaver and he killed me.
Oh man, bummer.
We had a great time. So,
well, I might have to go with you on the front of the
you won't go. It's too expensive. You'll complain.
I'll go. I think I'll. As much fun as you said you had on this one, man. I think I need to check it out.
I don't know if it's really, it's a weird type of haunt. So I don't know if it's for everybody.
Oh, that's good. Good to change shit up.
Yeah. Anyway, tonight we are going to talk about Revenge, which is an album from the rock band Kiss. Now, we've already done 2 Kiss album reviews in the past and talked about Kiss a lot. So if you don't know who Kiss is, well, I'm not going to explain it again.
What rock are you under?
Yeah. So this is actually 1992 release. It was the 16th album from Kiss, and it was released on May 19th in 1992. It's also the first album to feature their current drummer, who's still the drummer to this day, Eric Singer, following the death of the late great Eric Carr, who died in November of 1991. So this was also kind of a change of pace for Kiss, because in the 80s they were very glam rocky. Well, they were very glam rocky.
Yeah.
By the time this rolled around, grunge had started to kind of put its face up, and Kiss decided they were going to go full on rock, like hardcore rock look. They were all in leather. Gene grew out his beard, and definitely a different look. And you said before the show, you were telling me a story about this.
Well, this is my favorite look without their makeup for sure. Definitely rocker. Definitely rocker. For
Yeah.
sure.
And it was a heavier sound, and
Yep, heavier sound. They just looked heavier. Didn't have all the, well, Paul, he still had his leopard print, but everybody else was still in pretty much just leather and studs and shit like that. So yeah, my favorite of their looks without their
well, Gene
makeup on.
also played a major role on this album. He
Yeah,
had been pretty much AWOL throughout the 80s.
Yeah, he actually, he sung on 4 or 5 songs on this
He
album?
did, yeah. And actually had first time a single from Gene since Creatures of the Night, which we talked about the last Kiss album. This album reminds me a lot of Creatures of the Night as well, as far as sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're almost, I kind of think of Destroyer, Creatures of the Night, and Revenge as sort of the three. They sound a lot alike. They're very heavy, hard records. I'm going to have to cough, I'm afraid. So if I do, I'm going to try to get away from the mic.
Cough.
I'm okay. I caught it.
Take a sip.
Now, Hot in the Shade was the album prior to this, which actually featured a top 10 hit, Forever, which was a ballad and was like Kiss's biggest hit since Beth. So they were coming off of a successful album, but they just decided it was time for a change. And then the situation with Eric Carr, it sort of definitely brought back some aggression, is what I would call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this album was dedicated to Eric Carr, and they actually added the closing track, which was a drum solo from Eric from 1981 or 1980.
It's more than a drum solo, and I listened to it. It's like an instrumental, but he's got an awesome drum solo in it for sure.
Yeah, well, they actually redid that. They took Ace Frehley's guitar off and added Bruce Kulick's over it. Okay. And it was also featured on the song Breakout from Ace Frehley's Comet album in 1997.
Okay.
So we'll get into more about Eric Carr here in a bit. What do you got on it? You got your little anythings you want to add before we go here?
Well, it was recorded from February of 91 to March of 92. So they spent almost a year on this.
They did.
Recording it. And like 6 different studios.
It was recorded everywhere, which is sort of Kiss tradition because they traditionally did not record in the same place.
Yeah. I'm not even going to name them all. Length of the album is 48 minutes, 51 seconds. Label is Mercury, and it was produced by Bob Ezrin, their longtime producer. And that's about all I got for that. Guess we go over the charts, maybe. Let me find them.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Get to that? Okay.
So how this all came together, in February of 1991, Kiss was asked to do a song for Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. They ended up doing God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which was a remake of a song by English band Argent, I guess their name was.
Yep.
Petra, the Christian band, had also done a version. So Kiss recorded it with Bob Ezrin. And it had been 10 years since they had the music from the Elder album, which was a colossal flop. and sort of really put Kiss back a lot. So Gene really did not want to work with Ezrin, but I think Paul talked him into it. So they did record God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2, but unfortunately, Eric Carr was sick and he could not play on the album. Paul had done a solo club tour prior to this, just to sort of get his chops, I guess, wet, and used Eric Singer as his drummer on that. So they brought Eric Singer in to play the drums, but Eric Carr actually sung on the album and was in the video. He actually, the poor man was diagnosed with heart cancer and had to have open heart surgery.
Yeah, and he was on chemo and he was
He was on
bald.
chemo and lost his hair, and he actually put a wig on, and he showed up and did the video.
Yeah.
And what a trooper, what a champion he was.
Yeah.
It was a sad story to see Eric go out that way.
Yes,
That was his final appearance in Kiss, was the video for God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2.
I remember a lot of people when they first got him after Peter, people weren't happy with the
I wasn't actually into Kiss at that point, but I don't know why, because Eric Carr was a way better drummer than Peter Criss, and I'll fight anybody over that.
Yeah, I know for sure. But yeah, a lot of people weren't happy when he came on. So
I don't know why. Eric Carr was he was great in Kiss.
yeah.
Peter did not want to be in the band. Peter did not want to do anything. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of Peter Criss. I mean, he was great on the first few albums, but he actually didn't even play on a lot of the albums in the later day. They actually had to have a session drummer because he was unreliable. Eric Carr was reliable for every show he played. The man showed up after having chemo, losing his hair, and shot a video. What kind of a trooper is that? That is a champion right there.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, Eric Carr passed away in November of 1991, and Kiss went ahead and hired Eric Singer to replace him. It was sort of the perfect fit. So you want to go over the personnel on this album?
Sure, let me pull it up here. Let's see. Personnel. Go over the band first. We got Paul Stanley on vocals, rhythm guitar, 12-string acoustic guitar on Every Time I Look at You. Gene Simmons, vocals and bass.
Some of the bass. Gene never played full bass on a Kiss album, just so you know.
We got Bruce Kulick, lead guitar, all guitars on tracks 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Bass on tracks 3, 9, and 12, and backing vocals. Eric Singer, drums, percussion, backing vocals.
Eric Singer is a great singer.
And Eric Carr, drums on Car Jam 1981, and backing vocals on God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2. And like I said, it was produced by Bob Ezrin, co-produced Chris Steinmetz, Nico Bolas, and I'm gonna fuck this up, George Tutko, and they were also the engineers on the album. Let's see. It was mixed by Mick Guzowski and Raul Rogut, and it was mixed at Record One in Los Angeles. And as always, most albums all the way up until I think the mid-90s, it was mastered by George Marino at Sterling Sound in New York City. Additional personnel, we got Kevin Valentine, drums on Take It Off.
You know the story behind Kevin Valentine?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
He would play on the entire Psycho Circus record in studio.
Okay.
Peter Criss did not play on that album at all. It was Kevin Valentine.
Okay.
So he was ghost drummer. See, even when Peter came back, he still wasn't reliable. They had to bring in session drummer.
Wow. Crazy. Uh, Dick Wagner, guitar solo on Every Time I Look at You.
And he's from the Alice Cooper band.
Yep. Tommy Thayer, Jesse Damon, and Jamie St. James on backing vocals.
And Tommy Thayer and Janie St. James was from a band called Black and Blue. Jesse Damien was from Silent Rage. They were kind of a more underground band. Now, how in the hell did Tommy Thayer and Jamie St. James become buddies with Kiss? And later, Tommy Thayer become the guitar player? Here's the answer if you never knew. In 1986, Black and Blue gained the attention of Gene Simmons, who took over as the band's producer for the next two albums.
Okay.
There you go. That's how Tommy Thayer got on Gene's radar.
All right.
Jamie St. James and Tommy played in a Kiss tribute band called Cold Gin, with, ironically enough, Tommy Thayer playing the role of Ace Frehley, and Jamie actually was on drums and played Peter Criss.
Oh,
So,
okay.
is it cool or what? You know, that the Tommy Thayer was all, you know, Black and Blue, or I think their biggest hit was Hold On to 18. That was a pretty big song for them. But yeah, they were actually in a Kiss tribute band, and Tommy Thayer would one day become a member of Kiss. So there's your little backstory. A lot of people have always asked me, how did Tommy Thayer end up in Kiss? Well,
there you go.
Gene produced two of the Black and Blues albums, and then Gene would eventually hire Tommy sort of as his helper, sort of. And there you go.
Okay. All right. Want to go over the charts and stats, or
not yet?
Not yet. Okay.
You're jumping ahead too much. I got a lot of talking to do here. When it comes to Kiss, I'm going to talk. So a lot of people might ask, who the hell's Bob Ezrin? Bob Ezrin was a music producer who worked with a lot of artists, Lou Reed, Alice Cooper, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, Deep Purple, and Kiss. And he unfortunately was on that Music of the Elder, and at the time I think he was strung out on some cocaine, and things did not go well. So that was sort of Bob Ezrin's last work with Kiss until Revenge.
Okay.
So Ezrin, that, like I said, I think Paul kind of talked Gene into it, and they're going to recreate Destroyer, because Ezrin did produce Destroyer, and actually he co-wrote and performed the piano on Beth. A lot of people don't know that. It wasn't all Peter Criss. Ezrin actually co-wrote the song. Okay. So in December of 91, Kiss and Bob Ezrin go to work on this new album. Well, it gets even stranger from there. Not only does Bob Ezrin come back, Vinnie Vincent comes back. Yeah, yes. Of course, the wayward son, guitar player on Creatures of the Night, ghost player, and Lick It Up. Gene says that Vinnie basically came and apologized for all the grief that he caused while he was in the band and wanted to patch things up, and asked if Gene would write a song with him. And Gene's like, sure, let's just let bygones be bygones. So Gene got a hold of Paul and said, well, you know, Vinnie's apparently changed, so let's work with him. So Paul wrote some songs with him, and they put that. It was great. Unfortunately, they figured out Gene figured out that Vinnie was back to his old tricks and reneged on the deal they made, and he would end up suing the Kiss. So before the album came out,
and he lost miserably.
And Gene basically said some little Italian words, which basically means you're not welcome anymore, dude.
Yeah.
So that was the end of Vinnie Vincent ever being around Kiss again. Although Gene did give him a vault when Gene was going around giving those vaults out for $1,000. He actually gave one to Vinnie.
Really?
Vinnie was trying to make his semi-comeback during that. So they actually had a few people in the studio with them writing, but a lot of the songs didn't make it to the album. Dave the Snake Sabo, I guess his name is, I don't even remember anymore. The guitar player of Skid Row wrote a song with Paul that did not make the album.
Yeah.
They I think they had some talks with Nikki Sixx, and that didn't work out either. Paul wrote a song with Jamie
They were
Lane
like on
and
a
Warren.
they were like on a three-way call or something.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
it never worked out. But Paul wrote a song with Janie Lane from Warren. And it didn't make the album either. But he also wrote a song with Kane Roberts. You know who he is?
He's from Alice Cooper too, isn't he?
Yeah, the Rambo guy.
Yeah.
The guy looked like Rambo.
Yeah.
They actually wrote Take It Off. So
yeah.
Sort of weird that the Cooper connection to this album. You know, I never thought that Alice Cooper and Kiss had a good working relationship. I never got that vibe. And what was it? It was Psycho Circus, Bruce Kulick, who wasn't in the band anymore, but still in the studio with him. And Paul, or maybe it was Gene, had wrote a song, and Alice Cooper sued Kiss and actually won. So
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Now here's some more. Gene was working on a song with Bob Dylan, of all people.
Really?
So I guess he called and said, basically in too many words, "Hi, I'm the guy that sticks his tongue out. I want to write a song with Bob Dylan." Bob Dylan said, "Okay, go for it." So they sit down and wrote a song. Tommy Thayer actually, I guess, was a part of it. And Bob Dylan listened to it, but it did not make the album.
Okay.
It was actually would be used. It was later renamed to Waiting for the Morning Light, and it was on Gene's second solo album, which is called Asshole.
I didn't even know Gene had a second solo album.
He did. Now, how did Richard Wagner get involved? Well, he's, like I said, originally from Alice Cooper. Here's the involvement there. He actually was a ghost player on Destroyer.
Oh,
So
really?
I don't know how many ghost players Kiss had on these 70s albums, but yeah, Dick Wagner played on Destroyer. So he came in and did the solo for Every Time I Look at You. Probably Ezrin had some influence on that.
Huh.
So, of course, we already mentioned Tommy Thayer and Jamie St. Jane did some backup vocals, and Tommy would replace Ace. God Gave Rock and Roll to You and Car Jam was not originally supposed to be on the album. They were added after Eric Carr passed away. And Gene noted that God Gave Rock and Roll to You is not a cover song for a soundtrack, but to him, it was a testament to Eric Carr. So that was sort of their, they dedicated this all to Eric. Otherwise, I don't think that song would have ever been as popular as it has become. They still play this song to this day on the concerts.
It's in their rotation.
It's in their rotation. And Gene is proud of this album because he said that a lot of the albums in the 80s he's embarrassed by. He said some Kiss albums he could kick himself in the butt for having anything to do with. He said, but you learn from your mistakes, and that what enables you to make a good album like Revenge. So Gene's very proud of this album to this day.
And he looked good, man. He looked fucking cool as shit, too.
Yeah, he did. I remember when me and Bob actually was hanging out with Gene, we mentioned, because I actually got the Revenge poster signed by Gene, and we were talking about it, having his facial hair and how he had his man bun back up and he looked like the Demon again. It was definitely the opening of a reunion back to the makeup. This was sort of the kick in the ass they needed, I think, for that.
Yeah.
So we can do our charts now.
All right, to the charts. Now in every major market in the world, they at least hit number 30.
Yeah, it was a big hit starting out. It debuted well.
Or it hit number 6 in US Billboard Top 200 and 10 in the UK, 6 in Sweden. There's 2 different reporting agencies in Sweden.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on in Sweden.
One was 6 and one was 10. And let's see here. Went gold. I thought it would have went higher than gold.
It did not. It just went gold. It did not hit platinum.
Yeah, it hit gold in the US and in Canada. With gold with 500,000 copies sold, and gold in Canada is 50,000 copies, which is pretty goddamn good for Canada.
It is good for Canada. But yeah, the album was sort of it did not sell as well as they had hoped for. It debuted well, but it just didn't have staying power. I don't know why. I mean, I would have thought, especially in the early 90s, that this would have been a big thing, Kiss going back to being sort of a metal band and, you know, the hard look, but it just didn't work out as well as they'd planned.
No, you know why?
Grunge. Fuck grunge and
Nirvana
fuck
fucked it up.
Soundgarden.
Nirvana,
fuck all them bitches.
Nirvana fucked it up for Kiss.
Well, whatever. What was his name? I can't even think of the guy's name. He's dead and gone. And Kiss is just now.
Gene's still making money.
50th year of Kiss this year officially. The farewell tour, or whatever this one's called, the end of the road tour has now reached like the 4th year thanks to COVID, and they actually managed to get the year 50. So Kurt Cobain, you can go stay in hell where you are.
Probably gonna get some shit for that.
I don't give a fuck. Especially if Gazzo's out there wants to talk bad about Kiss and Twisted Sister. Y'all can have Nirvana. The only thing good that ever came out of Nirvana was the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's it. And I have so much respect for the Foo Fighters. That's a great band.
Yeah.
Way better than Nirvana could ever have been. So there you go. I don't care. So let's go over the track listing for this album.
All right, let me pull that up. You can go ahead and start. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, my voice is pretty strong right now. So the first song, track 1, Unholy. Written by Gene Simmons and Vinnie Vincent. And the lead vocals on this song was Gene Simmons. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And this was the song that was like, holy fuck, the demon is back.
Yeah.
It was the lead single, which we'll talk about the singles a bit later and how they did. And the first video. If you don't count God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which was technically not a part of the album originally.
Yeah, because it was actually
for Bill and Ted.
Yeah, for Bill and Ted a year earlier.
So Unholy is probably one of my favorite Kiss songs, period. I still play it. It's on my playlist of the Kiss. I was listening to it this morning. Like it. It's a great Gene song. Sort of, you know, that and I Love It Loud. Just some Gene fucking boom songs right there.
Yep.
And God of Thunder. Those three are sort of the unholy trinity, unintended, of the Gene Simmons era of Kiss. So track 2 is Take It Off, written by Paul Stanley, Bob Ezrin, and Kane Roberts, the Rambo guy from Alice Cooper. Sung by Paul. Length is 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And this is definitely a Paul song. It's about stripping.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in the 80s, Paul was in control of Kiss and Gene sort of had to deal with it. Well, this album, Paul sort of had to deal with Gene, but Paul did give us a stripping song, and it's pretty raunchy too.
Yeah.
Good song. Like it. It's a fun song. Track 3 is called Tough Love. It was written by Paul Stanley, the great Bruce Kulick, and Bob Ezrin, and sung by Paul. 3 minutes and 44 seconds, and it's sort of a filler song. It's not very good.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that song.
It's a little lacking, but
it lacks some. Track 4 is called Spit. Gene Simmons, somebody named Scott Van Zen. I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah, I couldn't even find no info on that.
Yeah. And Paul. actually, and it was Gene and Paul both sort of contributed to this song. It's 3 minutes and 32 seconds, and it's pretty hard song, pretty aggressive song.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of staying power. It's sort of forgotten, I think. I don't really remember much about this song anymore. So track 5, they added in God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too, which we've talked about. That was a cover song. I guess
With a lot of the lyrics changed.
I was gonna say Ezra and Paul and Gene rewrote the lyrics. And Gene and Paul, that was actually the first song they sung as a duet. I forgot, since it was the 70s. But God Gave Rock and Roll to You is 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And of course, it does feature, as we said, vocals from the late, great Eric Carr. Track 6 is Domino, written by Gene, performed by Gene, 4 minutes and 1 second. And it's another phenomenal Gene Simmons song.
Yes, it is. I love that video too.
Cancel culture today. They actually had a radio version. They had to cut the song. They had the radio version of Domino.
Yeah.
Especially where he that bitch bends over and I forget my name.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. It's a great Gene song.
The video was awesome on it too.
It is. It's a good video. Track 7 is Heart of Chrome, written by Paul, Vinnie Vincent, and Bob Ezrin, and performed by Paul. 4 minutes and 2 seconds, and it's again sort of not the best song. I don't think Paul really felt like he had much of a role here. We get to a good Paul song in a minute, but this wasn't it. Sort of a weaker song. Track 8, Thou Shall Not, written by Gene and Jesse Damien, and performed by Gene. It's 4 minutes and 38 seconds. And it's a pretty good song. It's got that Gene Simmons thunder to it. So Gene Simmons definitely got the lead on this album.
Yes, he does.
Track 9, Every Time I Look at You, Paul Stanley, Bob Ezrin, performed by Paul, 4 minutes and 38 seconds. It is a ballad.
Yes, it is.
I do not think it belonged on the album.
No.
I don't like the song being on. I don't mind the song. It just did not belong on Revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
They were trying too hard to recreate Forever.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit of Beth, and it just did not work. They released it as a single. It did not do well. We'll get into the singles here in a bit. Track 10 is Paralyzed, written by Gene and Ezrin, and performed by Gene. Again, it's a ball ass kicking song.
Yes, it is.
Paralyzed is good. Track 11, I Just Wanna, written by Paul and Vinnie Vincent, performed by Paul Stanley, 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And it's a fun song.
Yeah.
And
I remember I used to think it used to say, I want to fuck.
Yeah. They that's the chorus. And
yeah, but it don't say fuck though.
No, but in concert, sometimes they would go ahead and say fuck on it.
Yeah.
The last track was added after Eric Carr's passing. It's called Car Jam of 1981. It's an instrumental. They redid the guitar and took Ace off and put Bruce, which I think they should have left Ace, but that's just me. It's a short little tidbit. It's only 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So that's the tracks. Once again, Gene Simmons sort of rules this album.
Yeah, he does.
So the singles, we'll go over those real quick. Technically, the first single would be God Gave Rock and Roll to You. It was released in August of 91 before the album, and it actually went to 21 on the Billboard chart. So it was a big hit.
Yeah.
Actually the first video and second single, actually the first was Unholy. It was released on May 4th, Star Wars Day. And that bad boy went to number, it was in the top 30 on the Billboard charts and went to number 2 in Norway of all places.
Yeah.
So Unholy is one of probably the heaviest songs in the Kiss catalog. It features Jesse Damien from Silent Rage, who sang the backup vocals. And Unholy, it was the first single. Gene says he got the idea from Adam Mitchell, who wrote the song from Doro. You know,
Oh, okay.
from Warlock. They
Yeah.
recorded a song called my voice bought me a minute, called Unholy Love. So Gene said he just loved the word unholy. So him and Vinny threw the lyrics together, and there we go. We got Unholy. Now it was covered by the band Black Veil Brides, who happened to be my daughter Madison's favorite band growing up. They did a cover on it on their EP called Rebels, and it actually featured Zakk Wylde on it.
Huh.
So Black Veil Brides, Andy Bursack, Andy Black, he had all kinds of names. He cited Kiss and Motley Crue as his biggest influence. So Black Veil Brides were sort of a kid band that were highly influenced and by Kiss, and they did a good job on Unholy. It sounded well. So next we had Domino released, which is again another Gene song. It went to 26 on the mainstream rock chart, so it wasn't that big of a hit.
I think the video was a bigger hit on MTV.
The video was a bigger hit on MTV.
For sure. It was a cool video.
It borrows some elements of a song called Nasty Nasty, which Gene had co-written and produced with Black and Blue. So there you go. Gene did admit he was trying to copy Deuce when he did Domino, but the song does borrow a little bit more from Nasty Nasty, but he admits that the bass lick was very Deuce-like. So he was trying to hit, you know, pay dirt again, I guess. The video was directed by Paul Reichman, who also directed Unholy and Domino. He did Unholy and Domino, and they actually had to do these videos while they were on tour at the same time. Since they were on tour, they did them back to back. Next single was I Just Wanna, not fuck, just I Just Wanna is actually went to 34 on the mainstream charts, and it was a Gene song, and a Paul song, got the wrong Kiss guy. They did the video in a day, and it was sort of poppy. It was, Unholy was really dark, so they kind of went in the opposite direction and did that video in one day. And as you said, the chorus, Gene repeats, I just want to but he does complete it. I just want to forget you. So that's really what we're saying.
Yeah.
And actually, this had a fifth video and a fifth single, which was Every Time I Look at You, the ballad, and it did not do well on the charts.
No.
It came out later.
31 in Sweden.
Yeah, when you do 31 in Sweden, you just ain't got a very good thing. And I really don't have a whole lot to say about that song. I wish they would have left it off of Unholy and put it somewhere else, but it is what it is.
Is what it is.
My voice is held up pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man.
So,
are you drinking?
Tea. Black tea.
Okay.
So the reception was it was sort of mixed. A lot of people, I think Rolling Stones shit on them, but they've hated Kiss since the 70s. I don't know why. Ezrin, gave them a fresh sound, and it got a lot of it sort of put Kiss back up. People took them a little more serious than they did when they were wearing some of them costumes in the 80s. Again, that was my era of Kiss. I can't talk bad about it. Although it is cringeworthy to see Paul in all the pink and the leotards and shit.
Yeah, I know.
It was the 80s. They don't look any worse than anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was their first top 10 album since Dynasty in 1979. So what else?
A lot of people shit on that album too. I like that album.
I'm not that big a fan of Dynasty. Honestly, I just not.
Okay.
Not really. So let's just cover a little bit about Eric Singer and where he came from.
Okay.
So, he was on Paul's solo club tour. Eric was played with Lita Ford as her touring drummer, and then joined Black Sabbath and was in Black Sabbath.
He played on Seventh Star, and then he started recording on what was the next one after that?
It had the Shining on it.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway,
Yeah, Ray Gillen was the singer, and he actually quit in the middle of that album, and him and Eric both left and started the band Badlands with Jakey
Yep.
Lee.
Yep.
Badlands was a really good blues band, and some of Eric's best work, I think. He played with Gary Moore as well. So
Mhm.
Eric had he sort of jumped around, and then he finally turned out Kiss was his,
did some session drumming and
well,
hired
yeah,
gun and
he was a hard gun, but he finally found his home in Kiss.
yep.
But he also played with Alice Cooper. Some actually toured with Cooper, played on some albums. So, and he also had a band called ESP, which featured Bruce Kulick and my buddy, former Motley Crue singer John Corabi.
Huh.
So that's Eric's background. He was a very very gifted drummer when he got there, and he found his home, and he's still there. Almost fucking 30 years Eric's been with Kiss in some way or another. So
Yep.
in the
Yep.
end, Eric has been the longest drummer that Kiss has ever had. And as much as I like Eric Carr, I'm going to say I think Eric fits better than anybody else ever did. He's a team player, and he has always had Gene and Paul's back, and I give him lots of credit.
Yep. Awesome drummer for sure. And he looked
So,
cool on this album too. He was the
he
only
looked
one with blonde
badass.
hair.
Yeah. Only person in Kiss that ever had the blonde hair.
And he had the longest hair out of everybody too, I think.
He did. I know I think that I don't say I know. I think there was some talk of having him dye his hair, and they said no. If it had been the 80s, they probably would have made him.
Well, he does now.
Well, yeah, he's the cat man. I think
Yep.
they all put the wigs on when they actually perform now. Because
Yeah.
Paul's hair's shorter. It's like shoulder length. So who cares? It's a fucking performance. I don't care what they do. They put
Exactly.
on the best fucking show of anybody. I don't
Yes,
care if they got
do.
background vocals. I don't care what they got. Kiss still, 50 years later, put on the best concert of anybody out there. They're in their, well, Gene and Paul are in their 70s, and they're better than anybody out there. So screw anybody who wants shit on Kiss. Just fuck you. You can't shit on the Kiss.
Ah.
So the tour.
Yeah,
That's
the
going to lead
tour.
us in. You got anything else about Revenge before we move on to the tour?
Not really. Are we gonna wait till the end for a
We're going to
rating?
wait till the end. Yeah, we'll wait till the
Okay.
end.
Okay.
So the tour actually started with a leg of club shows.
Yeah.
They actually were doing a club thing. I was always told it was a sort of get a feel of how it felt with Eric Singer in the band. I don't know. I just know that they did a clubs tour, and they actually played in Dallas at Dallas City Limits in April of 1992.
Yeah,
And
I was reading that.
I was not there for some damn reason. I don't know why I wasn't there. That's probably the only Kiss show that I've missed and since I've been going to Kiss. So I don't know the reason why I did not go. I've heard stories about it, and I've heard everybody has been there. So this is another one of those deals that I know how much Dallas City Limits held, but if the stories are true, there were 30,000 people in the club that night because everybody was at that show in Dallas.
Really?
No, I'm taking shit, dude. Everybody claims they went, but Dallas City Limits was a small club.
I
I was
you.
really not there, and I'm not going to say I was. I wish I had been, but I did not make that. So that's how the tour started.
All right. Okay.
So you want to cover the tour, or?
Yeah, I can go over some stuff on the tour.
I got some stuff on the tour as well.
Start date was April 23rd, 1992.
That was the club part.
And that was actually right when they got done recording it. They went right out and started that club tour. And it ended on December 20th of 1992. So almost a year. They actually did 3 legs. One being that club leg. And they did 77 shows total. And that's all I got for that. What do you got?
Well, European leg, they actually used the same set from Hot in the Shade for some reason. And it actually caught on fire.
Yeah, I was
At one
reading
point,
that.
he caught on fire during Heaven's on Fire.
Yeah,
The North American leg of the tour, the stage featured a 40-foot Statue of Liberty with the KISS logo on the wall. Halfway through they're in War Machine. Halfway through the show, its face crumbled and it was a skull. And eventually, it's the torch fell and it was giving everybody the finger. And apparently, people didn't like that. I don't know why. I guess they thought they were digging on the Statue of Liberty. Fuck if I know. During Take It Off, they actually brought some strippers on the stage. And it took 10 semis to haul all that shit around.
yeah, man.
Now, according to what I'm told,
Wasn't that their most expensive tour to date?
It probably was one of.
Yeah.
But supposedly, they had to cut the tour short because of poor ticket sales. Well, I'm going to say this. They never came back to Dallas. They did the club show and they did not come back to Dallas, which I find sort of strange, or Fort Worth. They like I said, they played Fort Worth a lot. So I think there might have been a little bit of truth to the fact that the tour was shortened, because I would have thought they would have came through here in an arena, but they did not. So
again, which was probably had to do with the grunge shit going on at the time.
probably so. But I did not get to see this tour because it was only at the Dallas city limits and they never came back.
Now I had tickets. Well, I didn't have tickets. A friend of mine had tickets for these. Lived in California at the time, and they were playing the Orange Prairie Center, where I seen a few bands. I seen Slayer there and Pantera, and fucking guy had the tickets in his wallet, and his wallet got stolen.
Well, fuck.
So yeah, it was sort of like the movie where they could have went to the concert, bought tickets, and see who was in our seats.
Yeah.
Well, there really wasn't seats there. That was like a general admission. It was a big airplane hangar is what it was. So pretty small venue for KISS, for sure.
Yeah, this was a weird tour. I don't know. I thought this tour would have done better, and I don't know. I guess again, grunge, it just, KISS were trying to be more. They weren't. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain this. I don't know why KISS did not succeed better with Revenge and the tour, but I don't know, man. I've always supported KISS no matter what they've done. The only time I got mad is when they brought Ace and Peter back. I wasn't a big fan of that because they were trying to act like the 80s never happened for a while.
Yeah.
They were just, and I didn't like that. But they the second leg or the second tour with Ace and Peter, they started basically bringing the 80s and Creatures of the Night back into the set. So it was all good. Now this could have also hurt them. The opening bands for this tour were primarily Danger Danger, Great White, Faster Pussycat, and Trickster.
Yeah, and Jackal on a few dates too, I guess.
Yeah, and Trickster was the most glam rock fucking pussy band that I've ever seen in my life. They're like these teenagers, and that was actually Trickster kind of led me to hating glam rock.
Yeah.
When I saw those guys in that stupid song of theirs, I'm like, I don't want to be associated with glam rock ever again. And by that point, Skid Row had went heavy metal and Warrant put out Dog Eat Dog. So yeah. So I think having in those glam rock bands opening for him might have hurt the tour. Would have been badass if they could have got like Alice in Chains or somebody to open.
Yeah.
So the opening bands were definitely not were not good for this tour.
Exactly.
Now, the last thing I've got, and then I'm going to leave this to you, what you have. The Cleveland, Detroit, and Indy shows were recorded by the great producer Eddie Kramer, and it became a live 3, which we're going to segment into now. I'll let Brett go because I'm going to have to cough. Sorry.
All right. Alive 3 is the third live album other than the MTV thing they did.
Well, they had on a live they did with Ace and Peter that got canceled that was later released as a bonus album somewhere.
And it was released or recorded November 27th through the 29th of 1992 in, like you said, Cleveland, Detroit, and Indianapolis. Released on May 18th of 1993, which is exactly a year from the release of Revenge.
Good point.
Length is 66 minutes and 53 seconds. And they actually had a single that charted off of this. I Love It Loud was actually charted.
Yeah, I knew that, but I was going to let you say it.
Oh, it was released on Mercury Records, and it was produced by Kiss and Eddie Kramer. All right. Same personnel who was on the album, except the producer for this. And they had a guy by the name of Derek Shernian on keyboards.
Yeah, they were still carrying a keyboard player around at this point. They'd started that in the 80s, and I don't really know if they needed a keyboard player on this tour, but I guess they did. I don't know.
And let's see here. They when they recorded I Was Made for Loving You, the on the live album, they actually recorded it doing a sound check.
Oh, they did. I did not know that.
Yeah, and they overdubbed the crowd in, which made people think that was wondered if the whole album was like that.
They've had a lot of history with their live albums being tinkered with.
Yeah. So, God, I told you something you didn't already know about Kiss. I feel amazed.
I did not know that. Of course, I try to avoid "I Was Made for Loving You." That's a song I do not like. I don't like disco Kiss. But I understand Paul said that all these freaks were running around, and he's like, I could write this shit easy, and they had a hit with it.
Yes, they did. It was a big hit in '79. Oh.
I'm probably in the minority, and most people do like "I Was Made for Loving You." I'll tell you what, the version on Alive 3 is the best version they ever did of it.
Yeah. Sounded good, even though it was added, the crowd and stuff like that was added in.
Yeah. I mean, the entire Alive 1 album was basically done in a studio, but we'll get to that another time. My goal is to eventually review every effing Kiss album that exists. That's my goal. I'm out of order. I think I'm taking my favorites and
out of order.
I guess that means Monster will be the very last one I review. I don't know.
You want to go over the track list on this?
We'll do the track list. So track 1, Creatures of the Night. I guess we don't care who wrote it on a live album, do we?
Nah.
So Paul Stanley song from the album Creatures of the Night. Good version. This is where Eric Singer really shines. On these heavier songs, he throws that double bass drum in there, and it makes the songs heavier. So good version of the song. Track 2 is Deuce, Gene's song. Again, it's sped up and just sounds great, and I love Deuce. It's a good song. Track 3 from Revenge is I Just Wanna, which is Paul, 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Track 4 was Unholy, Gene Simmons, Length 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Track 5 is Heaven's on Fire, one of my 80s songs. It's a Paul Stanley song, 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
I guess Desmond Child helped co-wrote that song.
Yeah, Desmond Child co-wrote a lot of those 80s poppier songs. He worked with Bon Jovi, and I think Paul had this idea that he might turn Kiss into a new Bon Jovi, but for whatever reason, it never took. I don't know why Kiss wasn't as big as they could have been in the 80s, honestly, because their music's better than Bon Jovi or half of those other glam rock bands.
Exactly.
But I'm sure I'm partial. I don't know. Who knows? Track 6 was Watching You. It's a Gene song and hadn't been done in a while. 3 minutes and 35 seconds, followed by Domino, track 7. Gene Simmons, it's 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Track 8 was I Was Made for Loving You. I guess it wasn't even recorded in front of a crowd. It is 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Track 9, I Still Love You, from Creatures of the Night. This is what a Kiss ballad should be. I know I gave this a lot of love, no pun intended, when we reviewed Creatures of the Night. Very good live version of the song. Bruce really shines on this song. He is such a better player than Vinnie Vincent ever was. Track 10, Rock and Roll All Night. You got to play Rock and Roll All Night and party every day.
Yep.
3 minutes and 32 seconds. Track 11 was Lick It Up, which I think they performed at every show since it came out. It's a Paul song, 4 minutes and 18 seconds. It was still a hit, so they had to play Forever at this point.
Yeah.
Of course, that was co-written by Michael Bolton, and I'll go over that whenever I do. I'm hot in the shade. Forever's 3 minutes and 53 seconds, and it's not a very good live version of Forever, honestly. I'm not very fond of it. Wasn't my favorite version of the song. Track 13 is Take It Off, which was actually a bonus track. It wasn't on the American CD because back then they didn't have room. CDs had a limit. So it was on the European and the Japanese versions, and they re-released it onto the American CD once they had time. So Take It Off, that's the stripper song. So
that's when they had strippers come out?
That's when they had strippers come out.
Okay.
Don't you wish you'd have been there for that?
Can't go wrong with strippers.
Especially a Kiss stripper.
Really?
Track 14 was I Love It Loud. Again, a lot of Creatures of the Night songs on this. And that's why I say Creatures of the Night and Revenge are sort of twin bastards. That's a Gene song. And I'm going to say that might have been when he did Fire. Because he's done that before during, I'm not sure where he did Fire at. Oh, he wasn't doing Blood. He might have did Blood during Unholy. The tours, I don't remember. I wasn't at this tour even. I do got the video though. I have to rewatch it. 15 was Detroit Rock City. And this is the best version of Detroit Rock City ever done because fucking Eric Singer just tears the drums up on this.
Yeah, he does.
My favorite version of the song. It's a classic Paul song.
I listened to this whole thing today, actually.
Yeah, that's a kick-ass version of a classic. It's 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Track 16 was God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2. 5 minutes and 22 seconds. And the album ends with Bruce Kulick doing the Star Spangled Banner. And he did a good version. And this thing's actually made best of charts of best versions of the Star Spangled Banner, believe it or not.
Yep,
for
exactly.
A guitar player.
For
so Bruce got a lot of credit for that.
He's in between Ace and I forget who else. Somebody else. I read that. Let me see if I can find it.
Look for it real quick. I'll find something to talk about.
Oh, I don't see it. Let's see here.
The charts. This actually peaked, debuted at number 9 on the US Billboard 200. So for a live album, it did really good. And it actually went gold too. And it might have outsold Revenge. I don't know the actual numbers, but it was a good selling live album.
He was in between Ace Frehley and Joe Satriani.
That's good company right there, man.
Yeah, it is.
But it did sell 500,000 copies in the US and 50,000 in Canada. It did have a single, which was I Love It Loud, and it did go to 22 on the rock US Billboard mainstream charts. So 22. So that's pretty good for an old classic from Creatures right there.
And it was the first Kiss live album released during the group's non-makeup era, followed by Kiss Unplugged in '96, the MTV thing.
Yeah, I actually got a new poster I put in the Maddie's room the last weekend. It's an Unplugged I got from Born Late Records. I got it hung on the wall.
Cool.
Wait, and I have the Unholy, or actually I think it says Unholy. It was from Revenge that got the band ducked out and all their leather poster from that period that Gene signed for me when I was hanging out with Gene. So I got some stuff from this era and then in Maddie's room, along with some Crazy Nights merch. So that's Alive 3.
Liner notes.
Liner notes. Tell me.
They include a family tree showing the various Kiss lineups.
They do. I remember that.
And that was designed by the Japanese fan club. And
I used to read that thing all the time. I would just study it because I was still trying to learn my Kissarmy as best I could, and that was a good thing they did.
And they put Tony Iommi from Sabbath in the liner notes, but they misnamed him as Tommy.
Yeah, old Tommy Iommi.
Tommy Iommi.
I call him that all the time, old Tommy. Hey, technically Black Sabbath's in the Kiss tree, thanks to Eric, so.
And they mistakenly claim that Watching You is from the first Kiss album, and I Was Made for Loving You from Dress to Kill.
Well, sometimes you fuck up shit.
Sometimes you fuck shit up. I'm sure Gene wasn't happy about it either.
The only bad I can say about this is it did not have Black Diamond on it.
Yeah.
Because Eric sings that song really well. So I don't know why they took Black Diamond off the set for this tour, but they did. They could have kept I Was Made for Loving You off of it and added Black Diamond. Now there is a video of this entire concert. It's got a weird name though. It's not called Alive 3.
Really?
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Is it the same track listing or totally different? Because I seen they had a couple of different track listings that they used.
We're gonna have to look it up because I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they had a couple of different track listings on that tour, with 22 and 23 songs on it. On the different lineup, on the different.
I think I'm gonna have to go.
The North American club and the European legs had 22 songs, which had a lot of their older stuff on it.
Yes, it did.
And then the US North American arena leg had a bunch of their newer stuff on it.
I think I'm gonna go digging in my Blu-rays and DVDs over here so we can get the whole story. Here, sing a song while I go digging.
Sing a song.
Sing a song, dude.
I can't sing, brother.
Why not?
Yeah.
What
was I gonna say here?
Say something.
I'm saying something. I hear you in the background is all I hear.
Say something, Brad.
Hunting for stuff.
I'm hunting. And it's dark in here.
Oh.
Oh, well, we'll cover that on another episode.
You can't find it? Oh, well.
Dark in here, dude.
Huh?
It's dark in here, and we've been talking a long time anyway.
Yeah.
We'll cover I'm actually going to do every freaking DVD Kiss has ever released eventually. I may have to make my own podcast called the Kiss Podcast or some shit. I can't help it. I was the other day. It was what day was it? Maybe it was Wednesday. It might have been Thursday. It was really cold and windy outside, and I was gonna go do my walk, and I'm like, screw this. So I went to Nisa Pizza and was blasting Kiss on my Apple Music in the car, and I was just thinking, I'm sorry, but to me, Kiss is probably the best rock and roll band ever. That's just my opinion. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the reunion era, they're just the best rock band for me. I can jam Kiss all the time, and I never get tired of them. So there's my
they've definitely held up over the years for sure.
They have, and there's my ass kissing of the week, I guess.
Ass kissing of the week.
I did get, like I said, I got a little upset when they fired Bruce and Eric and brought the other two jerks back and tried to act like that. They actually, on something, they said it was Kiss's first concert in 15 years. And I'm like, you're some lying motherfuckers. So I got a little angry during that period.
Okay.
But everybody loved it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So let's give these two albums some rankings.
Okay.
Let's start with Revenge. How many Gene Simmons tongues do you want to give Revenge, Brett?
I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.
Okay.
Just for the fact that of how hard most of the songs were. And I'm really a bigger fan of Gene singing than Paul for sure. On these songs on this album for sure.
Definitely a Gene album.
Yeah, definitely a Gene album. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4.
I would give it a little bit higher, but I'm gonna go with a 4 too. I could probably go a little bit lower, but the highlights outrank the low on this album. But I'm not a fan of a couple of these Paul songs. And I really don't like the fact that every time I look at you was on the album. It just did not fit. And
Exactly.
I wish it would have been a balladless album. It would have been, but some of the 80s albums were balladless. Animalize doesn't have a ballad on it. So I'll give it a 4.
And
I could probably give it a little higher, a little lower, but it's not perfect, but I don't think Kiss have a perfect album except maybe Destroyer.
Eric Singer's drumming was phenomenal on here.
Definitely.
For sure. For being a first album with them,
Definitely.
Great drums for sure. So
yeah, I'll stick with a 4 too. 4 Gene tongues.
okay.
So let's go over a live 3.
What are you giving a live 3?
If it didn't have I Was Made for Loving You on it,
I knew you
and
were
it
gonna
had
fucking say
Black
that.
Diamond, I would give it a 5.
Really? Okay.
But I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's the best live album Kiss put out for me. And again, I'm an 80s Kiss guy. I love the heavier songs. I love the fact they let Eric do his thing, which he was told to tone it down when he came back later when they were, you don't need to. Gene's not a big fan of the double bass. So this album is great. It's the best live album they've done. But again, I miss Black Diamond not being on the album. Love the fact there's a lot of Creatures of the Night on it. So what's your views?
I'm gonna probably give it a 4.
That's good.
It's good. It sounds good. Got a good live sound to it, except for, like you said, I Was Made for Loving You, having it dubbed in, and
yeah,
the crowd or whatever. And you can tell too when you listen to it. You can tell.
Well, and again, I'm not real happy with the version of Forever that's on the album. It was pretty weak. The better live version of Forever is when they did the Alive with the Symphony.
Okay.
That's a good version of Forever, which actually had Peter Criss playing drums on it. Sort of a side note.
Side note.
But I think that's going to cover it for our two back-to-back Kiss albums.
Okay.
And again, we're sorry we missed the last week, but shit happens.
Shit happens.
I
We're
don't know how
fixed
to
now.
edit.
We're
I'm
back, bitches.
We're not canceled. I'm not an editor and I'm not an engineer.
We're back, bitches.
I'm gonna have to learn how to edit, I guess.
Yeah,
but then you said, well, I got to give you the account of the YouTube, and yeah, so I don't know how we're gonna do this. If Brett like falls out, then I don't know what's gonna happen to the show.
I'm gonna making you up a list of everything you're gonna need to put on your computer, and I'm gonna come down one day and show you how to work everything.
Good. Then I can start my Kiss podcast, Offspring.
And then you can call me. How do I do this? What's this
I'll call
button
Tim
do?
Mullen before I call you.
Well, you got anything else, Carl?
I think we've talked enough, and my voice is starting to feel it.
Yeah, I feel like a coffin jag possibly going to start anytime. I've already hacked my guts up a couple of times during this episode. So,
well, yeah, I've been talking about the lower ratings for album reviews. This fucker's going to get some higher ratings because it's a good show. And if you don't like Kiss, then you can kiss
my ass.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That's
all right.
We got.
Check out the social medias. YouTube. Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. Before you do that, find me on Facebook too. I'll go ahead and add people.
And I wanted
on Facebook.
What I talked to you about earlier.
A contest.
We're gonna do a contest.
Yeah, I'm about to sneeze now.
Uh-oh. But anyway, first 10 iTunes ratings and reviews. We're gonna do a drawing next week, but the first 10 gonna do a drawing for a t-shirt. So
that's only on Apple.
Only on Apple, yeah, Apple only. So
Apple Podcast. If you
I would put it as many as possible, and we'd do that, but I know a lot of people don't listen on Apple. But this will kick y'all in.
Next week we may do a contest on YouTube. So if you're not on Apple, maybe you'll get it on YouTube. But that's for next time.
That's for next time.
This week it's Apple.
Yeah.
So leave a review and get in a contest.
We're having to pimp out a t-shirt to get reviews.
We will. We'll do it.
So do that for us. It helps us get in the up in the algorithm a little higher, and
we'll post that on all the social media as well, the contest.
Yep.
Like I said, y'all look me up on my Facebook and I'll add you, and you can see what's going on. I got all kinds of crazy shit going on there.
And check out the Count Kissarmy page. Yeah.
Twitter.
We're gonna be working on that here pretty soon too.
Yeah, we're pro Twitter now, apparently.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
I don't do TikTok.
I do the TikTok, but I don't never check my messages on nothing else but Facebook. So I don't know.
We're old.
We're old. Too old.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
That's all we got. We've talked a long time tonight, but we missed 2 episodes, so we had to make up for it.
You're getting a little bonus.
Maybe one of these days we'll release the Phantom of the Opera Ghost episode, or we'll just actually redo Phantom of the Opera. Right.
I think we need to redo it because I watched that movie twice now, and
you got some stuff to say.
Yeah. So.
All right. So
all right, everybody.
Stay evil.
Stay evil, everybody.